Welcome back to the deep dive. You know, the kitchen. It's really the heart of the home for so many people, right? And I think we all dream about that perfect new kitchen space. But then reality kind of kicks in. What's it actually going to cost? Especially if you're here in Chicago. So today we're doing a deep dive into exactly that. How much does it cost to renovate a kitchen in Chicago, looking ahead to 2025? Our goal really is to cut through all the numbers, the estimates, and give you some clear, actionable insights so you can tackle that kitchen remodel, whether it's a huge overhaul, just updating a small space, maybe getting ready to sell with real confidence and clarity.
Absolutely, and you've come to the right place for that. The sources we're digging into today, they're packed with real-world cost examples, lots of expert guidance.
Yeah.
Really practical information should give you a solid foundation to make some smart choices.
Okay, great. Let's jump right in then. When someone's first thinking, dreaming about a new kitchen here in Chicago,
Mm.
what's the general kind of investment they should be anticipating?
Well, for let's say, a well-designed, functional kitchen remodel in Chicago,
Yeah.
most homeowners, they can probably expect to spend somewhere between $25,000 and $75,000. Now, if you're aiming for a solid mid-range kitchen, that typically lands around $50,000. Really good value there, generally. But, for those dreaming bigger, larger space, premium finishes, the whole 9 yards, that investment, it can definitely push past $120,000.
Right. So that range, say 25K to 75K or even higher. What exactly is included in that? Is it mostly the fancy cabinets and countertops, or is labor a huge piece?
It's really a mix of everything that brings that kitchen to life. We're talking beautiful cabinetry, of course, smart appliances these days too, but also the skilled labor is a big part. Plumbing, electrical, and crucially, all the necessary permits. You need those for a smooth, compliant renovation, especially in Chicago.
That makes sense. It's the whole package. Now, I've definitely heard whispers, maybe more than whispers, that Chicago can be, well, a bit pricier than the national average for this stuff. Is that true?
Right.
And if it is, why might that actually be a sort of smart investment despite the higher sticker price?
You're spot on. Yeah, Chicago costs can run, say, 15 to 30% higher than the national average. But what's really insightful here, I think, is why. It often reflects the city's exceptional craftsmanship, for one, and the historic architecture. Think about it. Renovating an older Chicago building, it often needs extra care, right, to meet local codes, maybe preserve historical details. That adds value, serious value in this market. It's not just cosmetic. It's about building something that lasts, that handles Chicago's climate, meets those tough codes.
Okay, so the quality and longevity.
Exactly. Plus, you've got factors like urban logistics, getting materials downtown, parking, deliveries in tight spots. That adds up. And often you're modernizing older systems, plumbing, electrical in old buildings, plus navigating permits, which can vary quite a bit neighborhood by neighborhood. It all contributes to that premium.
That makes a lot of sense. It's not just an arbitrary markup. So we have this general range, but
No.
obviously not all kitchens are the same size, not all projects are the same scope.
Yeah.
How long is the actual size, the square footage, and whether it's just a refresh versus a total gut job? How does that impact the budget, especially thinking about those Chicago specifics?
Oh, absolutely. Size and scope, the huge drivers of cost. For a small kitchen remodel, let's say under 70 square feet, you're probably looking at a range of $15,000 to $30,000. A medium-sized kitchen typically falls between $30,000 and $65,000. And then, yeah, a full remodel of a large kitchen over 200 square feet that can easily go past $65,000, sometimes hitting $120,000 or even more, depending on finishes.
Wow. Okay. Building on that then, what about cost per square foot? Is there a typical range for Chicago in 2025?
Yeah, there is. For Chicago kitchen remodels in 2025, you're generally looking at $175 to $450 per square foot.
It's quite a spread.
It is. Let me break that down a bit. A basic remodel, think $175 to $250 per square foot. More cosmetic updates, standard materials. A mid-range project, that's more like $250 to $350 per square foot. Better materials, maybe some layout tweaks. And then high-end, you're pushing $350 to $450 per square foot, sometimes more. That's where you get the premium finishes, custom cabinetry, all the bells and whistles.
Okay, so that links back to the scope you mentioned, the difference between, say, a minor refresh and a major overhaul. Can you elaborate a bit on what defines those two and the cost difference?
Definitely. A minor kitchen remodel, it's more about surface level stuff. Think repainting, maybe updating cabinet fronts or hardware, adding a new backsplash, things that make a big visual impact without major disruption. Those typically land in that $15,000 to $30,000 range we mentioned for smaller projects. A major kitchen remodel, though, that's the big one. Full demolition. Often changing the layout, moving plumbing, upgrading electrical, maybe new ventilation systems. These are much more involved, structurally and systematically. And
Uh-huh.
that's where you see costs ranging from, say, $50,000 up to $120,000 or more.
Right, a totally different beast. So, knowing all these potential numbers, when someone actually sits down with their spreadsheet, try and budget,
Hmm.
how does that money typically get allocated? Like, what percentage goes to cabinets versus labor versus appliances? Where are the biggest losses of the pie?
That's a fantastic question because understanding that breakdown is key to building a thoughtful and realistic budget. The
Hmm.
biggest chunk, usually cabinetry. That often eats up 30 to 40% of the total budget, whether custom or prefabricated.
Wow, nearly half potentially.
It can be, yeah. Next up is labor costs. That's typically 18 to 25%. Covers demolition, plumbing, electrical, installation, all that skilled work. Then you got appliances, usually around 10 to 15%. Big variable there, depending on standard versus premium. Countertops are also in that 10 to 15% ballpark. Granite, quartz, laminate, etc.
Okay.
Then flooring and lighting together make up about 10 to 12%. Tile, wood, recessed lighting, pendants, and finally, don't forget permits and design fees. That's usually 5 to 8%, and like we said, especially important to budget for in Chicago to ensure everything is compliant.
That breakdown is incredibly helpful, really shows where the priorities often lie, or at least where the money tends to go. But thinking about that, for someone trying to be, budget conscious, where's the most flexibility usually? Are there areas where you can maybe find some savings without sacrificing too much quality?
That's a great point. There
Yes.
is flexibility, absolutely. While cabinetry is huge, maybe you don't need fully custom. High-quality stock or semi-custom cabinets can save a lot. Or even refacing existing cabinet boxes if they're in good shape.
Refacing, right?
Exactly. Appliances, too. Do you need the absolute top-of-the-line pro range? Maybe a really solid mid-range suite does 95% of what you need for much less. And materials, countertops, flooring. There are some amazing laminates and luxury vinyl tiles now that mimic high-end looks really effectively. Smart shopping there can save thousands.
Excellent tips. Good places to look for value engineering, basically. Now, flipping to the other end of the spectrum, for those listeners with maybe bigger visions, bigger budgets, what does a true luxury kitchen remodel look like in Chicago? What kind of investment are we talking, and what features define that level?
Yeah, for a luxury kitchen remodel, the investment usually starts around $100,000,
Hmm.
and it can go significantly higher. What defines it? You're typically seeing professional-grade appliances, think Sub-Zero, Wolf, often imported stone countertops, maybe marble or quartzite, fully custom bespoke cabinetry and high-end fixtures. Expansive kitchen islands are common, sometimes with multiple sinks or cooktops, and integrated smart home systems controlling lighting, sound, maybe even appliances. It's really a fully custom design experience.
Tailored everything.
Pretty much, it delivers exceptional comfort, top-tier functionality,
Hmm.
and yes, significant long-term value, and just timeless style.
It's clear, whether it's basic or luxury, a kitchen renovation is a substantial project. Which brings us to the who. Why is hiring a licensed kitchen remodeling contractor here in Chicago
Yeah.
so critical? What are the risks of trying to DIY a major project like this, especially in this market?
Oh, it's absolutely crucial. I mean, trying to DIY a major kitchen gut in Chicago, unless you really know what you're doing, it can easily become a nightmare, far more costly in the long run.
Yeah, I can imagine.
A licensed contractor, first off, handles the permits. That's huge. Ensuring compliance with Chicago's building codes, which can be pretty detailed, sometimes tricky. They also carry liability insurance and offer warranties on their work. That protects your investment.
Peace of mind.
Exactly. And they manage all the inspections needed along the way. Plus, think about those Chicago-specific challenges we discussed, navigating old buildings, the logistics of working in the city, coordinating trades. A good local contractor knows how to handle all that efficiently. They understand the landscape. It prevents delays and costly mistakes.
So they save you time and potentially money, even though you're paying them.
Often, yes. And hey, you might even ask them about bundling. If you're thinking about a bathroom remodel too, sometimes you can get a better deal doing both.
Good tip. Okay, so we've covered costs, breakdowns, luxury options, the importance of pros. After absorbing all this, how does someone listening take this general info and turn it into an accurate budget for their specific kitchen project? What are the practical steps?
Right, bringing it home. The best starting point is getting detailed bids. Don't just get one and get bids from several trusted licensed contractors here in Chicago. And it's smart to look at current cost guides for 2025, just to sanity check those bids against local pricing trends.
Okay, multiple bids. What should you ask for in those bids?
Be specific. Ask for a clear, itemized cost breakdown. What exactly are you paying for? Get a detailed list of what's included. And just as importantly, what's not included. Avoid surprises later. Ask for a realistic timeline and a proposed payment schedule. And definitely request transparent estimates for labor, materials, and any markups they apply.
Transparency is key.
Absolutely. And this brings up a really crucial point for your planning. Have you budgeted for the unexpected? You absolutely need a contingency fund.
Ah, yes, the dreaded contingency. How much?
Usually 10 to 20% of the total estimated cost is wise. Things always come up in renovations, especially in older homes. Hidden plumbing issues, electrical needing upgrades. Having that cushion prevents a small issue from derailing the whole project or forcing compromises you don't want to make. It keeps you prepared.
Excellent advice. Always plan for the unknown. Okay, let's try to wrap this up. To recap our deep dive today, we've seen the general cost ranges for Chicago kitchen remodels, maybe $25,000 to $75,000 for many projects, but easily climbing to $120,000 plus for major or luxury renovations. We talked cost per square foot, roughly $175 to $450 here in Chicago. We broke down where the money goes, cabinetry and labor being big ones, and really underscored the value, maybe even necessity, of working with a licensed local contractor who knows Chicago.
That's a great summary, and it's worth reiterating, right?
Yeah.
While that Chicago kitchen remodel might seem like a higher initial investment compared to, say, the suburbs or another city, it really ensures your project meets those high city standards for safety, for quality. It delivers results that last, honestly, a much better day-to-day living experience.
So, stepping back from the spreadsheets and the permits for a second,
Yeah.
what does all this really mean for someone planning their dream kitchen, beyond just the dollars and cents?
Well, I think the final thought to leave people with is this. Beyond the immediate costs, beyond the budget lines, a really well-planned, thoughtfully budgeted kitchen remodel here in Chicago, it's a profound investment. Yes, in your home's value, absolutely. But maybe more importantly, it's an investment in your daily lifestyle, in your family's comfort, in how you experience your home. You're not just transforming a space, you're potentially transforming your entire living experience, creating that true heart of the home that serves you well for years and years. It's powerful stuff.